Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Richard Gage, AIA. I'm a member of the American Institute of Architects. I've been a licensed architect for 22 years, and I'm the founder of the nonprofit organization Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. As a group, we now have 1,270 architects and engineer petition signers. Collectively, we have more than 25,000 years of building and technical experience. This press conference today is being given by our petition signers and supporters in 65 locations around the world, including 30 states and 4 countries. Today, we're here to inform you that we have uncovered evidence that the official investigations into what happened to the World Trade Center skyscrapers on 9/11 were deeply flawed or worse. The scientific forensic facts we have discovered have very troubling implications. For example, a technologically advanced, highly energetic material has been discovered in the World Trade Center dust from the 9/11 catastrophe. This follows the discovery by the United States Geological Survey and others of high concentrations of unusual, previously molten iron microspheres in the World Trade Center dust. These microspheres can only have been formed during the destruction of the World Trade Center at temperatures far higher than can be explained by jet fuel and office fires. Those fires, we are told by engineers employed by NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology, were allegedly the cause of the World Trade Center's destruction. The discovery of this advanced energetic material in the form of red-gray chips distributed throughout the dust both explains the iron-rich microspheres and confirms the inadequacy of the official account of what happened that tragic day. Even before the microspheres and red-gray chips had been identified and brought to our attention, we were deeply concerned about other aspects of the destruction of these iconic buildings and how they were investigated. More than 24 firefighters, engineers, and other witnesses reported seeing substantial quantities of molten iron or steel flowing like lava in the debris under the 3 World Trade Center high-rises. Office fires and jet fuel cannot possibly reach temperatures necessary to liquefy iron or steel. A mixture called thermite, consisting of pulverized iron oxide and aluminum, can generate temperatures above 4,000 degrees. Far more than is needed to melt iron or steel, which melts at about 2,750 degrees. The energetic material that was found in the World Trade Center dust by an international team of scientists led by Niels Harrit of the University of Copenhagen in Denmark was reported in the peer-reviewed Bentham Open Journal of Chemical Physics. It consists of nano-engineered iron oxide and aluminum particles 1/1000th the size of a human hair, embedded in another substance consisting of carbon, oxygen, and silicon. The sizes of the iron oxide particles are extremely uniform, and neither they nor the ultra-fine-grained aluminum platelets could possibly have been created by a natural process such as a gravitational collapse or impact of jetliners. The red-gray chips in which these particles were found exhibit the same characteristics as advanced energetic materials developed in U.S. national laboratories in the years leading up to 9/11. They have no reason for being in the World Trade Center dust. Given all the horrific costs in human lives, lost civil liberties, and trillions of tax dollars spent in response to the official account of 9/11, there can be no more urgent need than for our country and the world to find out who put these materials in the World Trade Center and why. This need makes it all the more disturbing that top engineers in charge of the government's investigation would avoid dealing straightforwardly with all the evidence that AE 9/11 Truth and others have repeatedly brought to their attention, much of which has been available in the public record since the beginning. John Gross, NIST co-project leader, has denied the existence of, or even reports of, molten iron or steel in the World Trade Center. They stopped their analysis of the tower's complete and highly energetic destruction at the very point when the destruction begins. And they have dismissed or avoided serious analysis of the additional evidence which we are concerned with. For instance, 1. Both twin towers were completely dismembered and destroyed in just 10 to 14 seconds, which occurs at near freefall acceleration. For this to happen, all 47 massive core columns, as well as a large fraction of their external columns, would have to be compromised with explosives beforehand. 2. More than 100 first responders reported hearing explosions and seeing flashes of light at the onset of destruction. Light flashes indicate explosive detonations. And this from the New York Fire Commission Commissioner Thomas von Essen's oral histories. 3. Multi-ton steel perimeter wall sections were ejected laterally up to 60 miles per hour, landing over 600 feet away. That speed and distance indicates a high-pressure explosion initiating the ejections. 4. 90,000 tons of concrete in this building and its metal decking under the floors were pulverized in mid-air, again indicating explosions. 5. World Trade Center 7, a 47-story high-rise which was not hit by an aircraft, came down in pure free-fall acceleration for more than 100 feet of its descent. A significant fact that NIST's Shyam Sunder was forced to admit after being presented with research from our team. Yet, NIST has failed to review or acknowledge the obvious implications of this fact, which is that the columns must have been explosively severed within fractions of a second of each other. The complete destruction and dismemberment of Building 7, collapsing in just 6.5 seconds at freefall acceleration through the path of what was the greatest resistance, the thousands of tons of structural steel in this building, occurs at pure freefall, zero resistance from any of those columns. This is an occurrence only possible with expertly placed explosives. There are other falsehoods and omissions in NIST's official report. 1. NIST overstated the severity and duration of the fires in all 3 skyscrapers, apparently in order to more credibly attribute the destruction to the fires, yet without exaggerating them enough to account for molten iron or steel. 2. NIST and FEMA did not follow the National Fire Protection Association's standard procedures for fire and explosion investigation and test the building debris for explosive residues. NIST did not test for explosives when explosive demolition was the most likely hypothesis. They refuse to test today, even though given this evidence. 4. NIST's animated computer model of Building 7's destruction, showing the outer walls crumpling inward like a piece of foil, bears no resemblance to the actual collapse as seen in the videos. NIST 5. NIST claims that the falling section of each of the twin towers above the jetliner impact zones crushed the much larger and more massive intact lower section. But video analysis reveals clearly that the upper sections above the point of jet plane impacts disintegrated in waves of explosions prior to any crushing of the lower sections of the building. This indicates that the top sections could not have been the cause of the destruction of the lower sections. 6. NIST's technical analysis into the Twin Towers collapse stops at the initiation of collapse. There is no technical analysis of the structural behavior of the building during the collapse itself. In response to our request for correction on this matter, NIST acknowledged simply that they were unable to provide a full explanation of the total collapse. In short, NIST's official technical explanation is fraudulent and certainly inconsistent with the basic laws of physics. By contrast, the hypothesis of controlled demolition is consistent with all of the available technical evidence and data. This week, here in Washington, D.C., we personally delivered a startling DVD, including the highlights of the forensic evidence, into the hands of staffers for the science advisors of almost every elected representative on Capitol Hill. In addition, we have sat down with over a dozen of them and presented in detail the overwhelming evidence of explosive controlled demolition. We have personally invited over 400 of them to today's event. Are there any congressional science advisors here today? A telling sign. I urge you to go to our website, ae911truth.org, for more information, including comments by our members on the problems with the official investigation. At this point, we are calling for Attorney General Eric Holder to ask a federal grand jury to investigate those responsible for the NIST report, including lead investigator Shyam Sunder and co-project leader John Gross. We'd like any and all reporters who will be covering this story to know that architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth are here to give you any and all technical support that you need. Finally, I'd like to thank the thousands of scientists, senior-level members of the military, intelligence, and other government officials, pilots and aviation professionals, firefighters, scholars and university professionals, 9/11 survivors and their family members, and concerned citizens here and around the world for their continuing support. And today in Los Angeles and New York, there's a simultaneous press conference announcing the creation of yet 3 more 9/11 Truth groups, Scientists for 9/11 Truth and military professionals, military officers for 9/11 Truth. We also want to thank our growing family of more than 300 sustaining financial supporters. We could not accomplish our critical work and our mission, which is to get a new investigation into these matters. We could not accomplish it without you. Now I'll answer any quick questions you might have. Keep in mind that most of your questions will probably be answered also during our mock debate, which is immediately to follow. Also, a more detailed information set is available in our DVD, 9/11 Blueprint for Truth, which is available right in the back here. The Architecture of Destruction, this DVD is subtitled, which is available on our website, also ae911truth.org.